I was always different. No matter how hard I tried, I could never fit in. On February 22nd, 2000, my parents gave birth to a baby girl. Her name was Elaine Ortiz. From a young age, I always didn't like playing with girl toys or dressing in dresses and, most of the things that our society labels as feminine. And my parents thought, as most would during that time, oh, it's just, you're just a tomboy. And, at the time I really liked that word because it had the word boy in it. I was very happy. I was like, yes, I'm a tomboy.
I always prided myself on how well my two girls played. And when Eli, told us that he felt he was transgendered, it all fell into place for me. I look back now, why did those two kids play so well together? And I think it's because Eli was always the tomboy. Danielle was always the princess, the mom, and the wife. And Eli always was relegated to the roles of being the king, the father, the prince. Now I realize that Eli was playing the very roles that he identified with.
When I started going to middle school, that was when I started to really feel out of place. I wasn't very happy during those years. I was actually just so miserable and angry. And I thought it was just because, everyone kind of goes through one of those stages during their adolescence, where they're not themselves. But for some reason, mine was more extreme. And so when I started going into high school my freshman year, I started switching my wardrobe around, and it was more masculine. It's also when I came out as a lesbian, but I hated that word so much because it implied that I was a girl.
The transgender community are actually at a higher risk for being bullied, especially when it comes to cyberbullying. The studies have shown that the percentage of transgender bullied in high school kids was approximately about 55% compared to the average high school individual, which was only 8%.
I later found a YouTube video of a guy who is a female to male transgender guy, and it was his 1 year on testosterone video, and I was so amazed how he went from very feminine body to this really buff dude. And so I knew then, oh my gosh, light bulb moment. It all fits together now.
It may be very difficult to understand how your child has come to this conclusion, or even to understand what transgender means. But the most important thing you could do during this time is be supportive and try to understand where they're coming from. Just because there is just those high risk of bullying, there's high risk of depression and suicide rates within this community, and the least thing you want to do is push them away.
Well, as soon as Eli came out that he was transgender, we basically were very supportive. We were given the advice to immediately change the pronouns from she to he, and at that time we also picked out a name.
So I had an appointment with an endocrinologist, which is a hormonal doctor, and he prescribed me testosterone. And I was overjoyed. I was very happy at that point because I was ready to start that in that time of my life. I was ready to, become the person who I knew I was.
I would say that his level of anger has definitely gone down. He seems a little bit more content, a little bit more comfortable with this definitely the change in gender and name and being on testosterone. All of that stuff really have kind of worked in his favor to be a little bit more of a happy child.
It really shocks me because it's so difficult to make this change. No matter what, no matter if you have support or not, it's still difficult. And to make it even worse on top of that is when you don't have that support.
Eli's the same person that I grew up with, and so, just like getting used to, just changing it to changing Eli's name to male pronouns and stuff like that. I mean, that was a little bit of a change, but other than that, he's still the same person.
As a parent of a transgender child, I'm very happy that my son is living in a time where society's becoming more open. Eli has found a lot of support, not just through our family, but through relatives and friends. And I am optimistic about the future for transgender people.
Please support and love people no matter what. I think that's the main importance. That's an important point. And no matter whether you're white, you're black, you're lesbian, you're gay, you're trans, we're all human. And I just think that it's important to love people for who they are.